Hello friends, we have another round of Modern coming for you this time. This is round 1 from our Modern 1K that we hosted at the AU Bluebell store on March 26th. We have James Evelyn playing Living End. I believe he's on the Temur variant. Temur. And then Justin Ryan is playing Izzet Murktide. Both of these players have been playing their decks for a while. I know I said Temur, but there's a grief right there. There's Justin sliding the playmat. I think I sassed him like immediately. I was like, Justin, no. But yeah, both players have been playing these decks a lot. We've had both players on stream before at multiple 1Ks playing these exact decks. That's when I saw them playing. I was like, oh, this is going to be a good round 1. Both players know their decks pretty well. But yeah, Living End, one of those decks that's just super cool. Does a very different thing than, Magic in general, really. Mass reanimating creatures. Potentially instant speed sometimes. Really, really solid. Alright, James is having a much more tame turn 2. He's going to play a polluted Delta Path. I imagine he has some cyclers in his hand. Justin's going to fetch out a Steam Vents tapped. Trying to conserve his life total for a bit. Seemingly just not having a hand as a 1-mana creature. Now, I wonder how the rule is for Murktide nowadays. I know it used to be like any hand without a 1-drop was kind of a trap. But again, Justin's been playing this deck a lot. His hand doesn't have a 1-drop. It's perfectly reasonable. He probably kept it for a very good reason. He could be taking the more control aspect to the matchup. James is going to fetch here. So the nice thing about the Izzet Tempo deck, or the Murktide deck, is it can blend itself between being both a tempo deck and being just control. And it can sideboard into a further control strategy. Especially a lot of people are playing 2 copies of Jace the Mind Sculptor in the sideboard. Or if they're not playing Jace, they're playing 6-mana Chandra, I believe. The one that can't be countered. It's a very good card in control matchups. I know firsthand, as I lost to it at Indianapolis. Playing the control mirror. Murktide player slammed it. I was like, ah, no. That's right. And I got Emblem for lethal. James is going to cycle some cards here. That is a Striped Riverwinder and a Curator of Mysteries. I don't know all of the the cycle cards in his deck. I actually have the deck list next to me. I could go find that real quick. But Living End was a deck that I had toyed around with the idea of building for a while. Just because, again, it seemed so different than everything else. So I was like, oh, this is probably pretty fun to play. Oh, there are deck lists everywhere. What are you?
Cycle. Yep.
That is my list of what everybody played. Alright, we're going to 3 mana. Or 4 mana for James. Not 4 mana in general.
Yeah.
There's a Violent Outburst. The Violent Outburst is going to Cascade here. And if you were playing against a Cascade deck, I'm sure you guys know this, but make sure to counterspell the card that they're cascading into, not the Cascader. James is a judge, so he's going to be doing that Cascade pretty perfectly here. Taking a while to find a copy of Living End. But Justin and us are getting a very good look at his deck. So if you're wondering what card you needed to pick up for Living End, it's right here.
It's a Living End deck. It's not like you get... Yeah.
There is a copy of Living End. All of that before to get counterspelled.
I do not know.
Now, does James have the Force Negation? Now James has the Force Negation here, which I don't think he does. He's shuffling that Cascade pile. He's going to go on the bottom of the deck. Nothing but perfectly randomized piles.
Cards 5, right? Yeah. Please go on the bottom.
Alright. A Violent Outburst is going to resolve. Creature's going to get +1/0. Is it +1/0 or +1/1? I don't remember. I should know. I've played Rhinos enough. That's my cheat sheet. I need that. Alright. The deck list backwards. Why are the deck list backwards? I am not prepared for this. Oh boy. I'm like trying to put like find cards for a legacy deck. Also, alright. James is just going to play a Botanical Sanctum and pass. I imagine he has another Violent Outburst in hands, and in his hand that's what that looks like. Also looks like he has a copy of Subtlety. That's pretty cool. I don't know if they were still on it.
Darcy? Sure. Negative. 4 cards. 4 cards.
Who is this?
I'll do Waker.
Oh, okay. Alright, here comes that Violent Outburst. Oh, no, that is... I don't know the name of that one, I'm not gonna lie to you. But I believe it looks at the top 3 cards, he can put one into his hand, and with the others, I think, in the graveyard? Or on the bottom of the deck, one of the two. I'm sure once I find his deck list, I can tell you.
Pass. I'll bolt you on your end steps.
Yeah, there's a lightning bolt. I love seeing what people name their decks. Because they can, you know, on the deck registration sheet, there's a deck name spot.
Yeah.
And some of them are just like interesting names. Like this one was Rhinos Hong Kong.
How many creatures you got in your graveyard? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
We got Rhinos by some other guy. Alright, that living end resolved. Game 1 went to James, as it tends to do when living end resolves. They put up a lot of power hits the board, and it's just not okay. This person wrote Everett Mohan as a deck designer, which if you do not know, that is Aspiring Spike, the creator of our current Postmodern Horizons 2 modern format. Alright. We're going to try and find out what they sideboarded here once I can find their deck lists, man. I'm not terribly sure what Justin... So Justin's probably going to sideboard cards from the control package, like Mystical Dispute. There's a weird argument, probably, to put in Blood Moon. I don't know how great that argument is, but... I don't know if James plays many basics. Obviously, the Graveyard Hate package, so like Relic and Progenitus. He should just be on 2 relics, maybe a 3rd piece. Like I know some people do 2 relics, 1 Soul Guide Lantern, which again I will find it in a minute. One day, in theory. James is probably going to sideboard his Mystical Disputes just for extra counter spell stuff. I need this person's deck list later, as they are on stream at some point. This person is not. This person played Infect. Pretty cool. There's a different Living End list. Waker of Waves is probably that card that I did not know the name of.
It's a creature deck. I got 2 removal spells.
Memnite.
Stuff. Yeah.
Be on stream at some point.
Jordan, customer.
I should have done James's, just the printed out one. Alrighty. So James' sideboard consists of 3 Endurance, 1 Force of Vigor, 3 Foundation Breaker, 4 Leyline of Sanctity, 2 Mystical Dispute, 2 Subtlety. I feel like the easy bring-ins are the Disputes and the Endurances. Don't really need the Force of Vigor or the Foundation Breaker. I don't know if you expect them to bring in the Blood Moon against you. I mean, maybe. I don't know if the Murktide player would do that, though. I feel like there's an argument for it, but I don't know. And then Subtlety, Subtlety hitting Murktide is quite nice, but... And there's Justin. Hey, their deck lists were right next to each other. That's what we love to see. Alright. Now from Justin's sideboard, we have 2 copies of Fury, 2 copies of Engineered Explosives, Mystical Dispute, Relic, Dress Down, Magus, Blood Moon, Jace, and 2 Flusterstorms. So he probably brought in the Disputes, the Relics, and the Flusterstorms? I imagine that's what he would bring in. Again, there's the argument for the Blood Moon if he wants to. He's doing one Blood Moon, 1 Magus. That's a cool split.
Spire Bluff.
Yeah. Alright, there's a Spire Bluff Canal leading into a Ragavan here. Ooh. Deck designer, me. Thank you, Justin. Now, I know at one point during this match we had some internet issues, which is why we ended up not being able to stream the entire event. I did record every round, and just about every round is usable, so we will be putting every round and our top 8 match that we had on camera up on YouTube.
Sorry. Yep. Combat.
Right, Ragavan's going to punch in here for 2. We're going to get that treasure token and the trigger. Justin's not going to be able to cast that Strike River Rinder.
Pass to you. Upkeep gold.
As it's turn 2, and he definitely does not have 7 mana. 6 mana, whatever it is. Alright, here's a Architect's Will getting cycled. That card was the hardest card for me to find out of the cyclers. I don't know why. Like, the rest of them I was able to find pretty easily, right? But that one and Curator of Mysteries were the 2 most difficult cards for me to find. Just going to fetch out a Steam Vent here. I wonder if Steam Vent's he's on. 3. Yeah, that makes sense. Justin, if you're watching this, friend, I like how you write out the full name of certain cards, and then some of them you just write Bolt.
Strand.
Like, we all know what it is, right? Like, so you did it with 3 different cards. You wrote just Ragavan, just Murktide, and just Bolt.
Violent Outburst.
Which, like, again, makes sense, right? Like, I guess there's nothing like you're gonna confuse that for, but it's just kind of funny.
Pass to you.
Alright, Ragavan's kind of thing. Again, gets another treasure. It's a Violent Outburst that time.
Cycle.
Yep.
We're just gonna double cycle here. James looks like he has a lot of lands in hand right now.
Play Besiju. It's not going to do anything.
There's a Besiju. I guess that's the other thought process. They probably, about them playing Besiju for you to not side in the Blood Moon. 1 Besiju, 1 Otawara. Is Otawara hit enchantments? Is that the one it doesn't hit? Creature, Planeswalker, or Artifact? I know Otawara hits a lot of things. Definitely Creature, Planeswalker. I forget what the other mode is. I definitely have like a copy somewhere around me. I'm just not going to go looking for it.
Yep.
Justin's untapping here.
Cast Consider. Surveil trigger.
Going to cast a Consider. We're going to get a Surveil trigger.
Graveyard results.
Unfortunately, Justin's yard is off screen, so we don't know if he is delirious yet. However, I don't think he is. He doesn't really cast much this game. He's fetched. He's now played his Consider. There's a chance that like the Consider put Delirium on because of the Surveil trigger and then its own effect. But
Rag. Legend Pool. Sack this.
cast second Ragavan. Well, that's how you get Delirium.
Cast Endurance.
Attack for 5. Cast Endurance.
Counterspell.
It works.
And it's gonna be a counterspell.
Surveil trigger.
Surveil trigger.
I'm going to go to 11.
Yep. Rag trigger. Top card.
That's how you know I've been playing too much Legacy. I was waiting for the days to come out.
Spire Bluff.
But one of those cards on the board is not a legal Legacy card.
Untap.
Alright. James picks up the Colossal Sky Turtle, which is a card from Kamigawa Neon Dynasty, which has 2 different modes on it, and I love this card. Let's go get it. Let's go TCG player Sky Turtle. So it is a 7 mana creature. It's 6/5. It's flying and ward 2. can be channeled for 2 different abilities. 2 in a green, discard it, return target card from your graveyard to your hand. Or 1 in a blue, discard it, return target creature to its owner's hand. Really good card for Living End. Because you can make use out of both of those modes. You could pick it up, or like you can use the first channel ability, pick up a Cycler if you wanted to, return a Violent Outburst to your hand to set up a Cascade, or you can use the second mode just to like bounce on Murktide Regen. And because it's channel, it can't be counterspelled. You can stifle it with effects like Nimble Obstructionist if you're playing that, or like Trick Bind, but I don't think you're doing. Is Trick Bind even a modern legal card? It has to be, right? We have a guy at our local Time Sparrow. Yeah, Trick Bind's modern legal. Cause it's split second. So we have someone at our local who is known for playing Trick Bind from time to time.
Combat? Sure. 5.
Broadcast Endurance.
So Endurance has hit the board. We've shuffled back to the graveyard.
Target. Blocks.
Yep.
Dream's unfortunately not having enough gas, it looks like. Alright, Endurance is going to block that Ragavan.
Do a 10.
It's going to take 1 damage, go to 10.
Oh, yeah.
It's all good. I have it up over here.
Okay.
Yours.
Picks up another copy of Living End. Unfortunately, I don't think there's a single card in his deck that produces black mana. Green, green, blue, green, blue, blue, red, blue, red, blue, red, blue. Yeah, there's no way for him to suspend that Living End, so unfortunately it's kind of dead in his hand. And there is nothing that discards it, right? No. So eventually, like, what he's gonna have to do is, I don't know how many cards he has in hand right now, but he's just gonna have to like go up to 8 each turn, like just keep drawing for turn, discarding for turn and passing, and then hopefully finding another Endurance to Endurance himself, I guess.
Cycle.
Or he could pick up the Endurance with the Sky Turtle, but
Sky Turtle, targeting Curator Mysteries.
Sorry, which mode?
The bring back a card from the
Gotcha. Yeah.
turning cycle. Can't cycle again. Want to.
picks up another copy of Living End. Is that all 4? There's 1 exiled. Definitively has 2 in hand. I would say this is where like Brainstorm Effect would be great, but you can't really play Brainstorm in a deck that cascades.
Keep draw.
Not that you can play Brainstorm in Modern anyways, but
Take it.
alright, we got some draw passing and going. There's a Lightning Bolt, bringing James to 7.
Untap. Upkeep. Draw. Go.
With the discard.
Yeah. I'll bolt you. Surveil trigger.
4.
Bolt number 2, bring him to 4.
So go.
Justin just has a grip of counterspells in his hand.
Discard.
Yep.
Once I discard, it's your turn.
Right. Oh, sorry.
So-
right. Yeah. This one. Draw.
Yep.
Picks up a Grief. I think he discarded the Living Ends though, so he can't even cast the Grief.
Yep.
Not that he really wants to exile another Living End, but
I can tell you I don't have any.
there's a Shardless Agent. I think at this point he's like, yeah, there's no Living Ends in my deck, so this is proof that there is none. Oh, the deck only plays 3, doesn't it? Yeah, I think it only plays 3. Reduce your chances of drawing it.
Pass to me after that. In your end step, I'm going to try and draw it. Sure.
Just as going to activate this turn here, draw 2 cards.
I will consider. Sure.
Cast Consider. Probably just fueling up here to slam a Murktide next turn. He does have the 3rd Lightning Bolt in hand now.
Iteration? Sure.
Okay, it's an Expressive Iteration. Still my favorite card to resolve. It always feels good. He dropped that right into the glare. I have no idea what that card is. Mystical Dispute, maybe? It's blue. That's all I can tell you. It's blue and maybe not getting played this turn.
Cast a real big Murktide.
Alright, there's a Murktide slamming down.
Pass to you.
That's exile forever.
Yes.
It was too quick. I didn't see it that time either. Doesn't matter, but still.
Real big 8/8.
Yeah, picks up a Colossal Sky Turtle. Gives him a way to get rid of that Murktide Regent. I almost called it a Ragavan. Not a Ragavan.
Go ahead.
End step, I'll bolt you. Surveil trigger.
Sure. 1.
Okay, it's gonna bolt him. James is gonna go to 1.
Combat.
Okay, we're gonna move to attackers, and James is assuming gonna put the Endurance in front of the Channeler, and then put the Murktide back in hand. He could also just be debating if it's worth it just going to game 3, save some time. Not that either deck is particularly slow. Alright, there's the turtle. Gonna bounce that Murktide to hand.
Wow. Alright. Yep, back in my hand.
Dead.
Another one?
Yep.
Re-Murktide?
Yep.
Alright, Murktide Part 2.
It's going to be a 5/5. Or a 4/4, I'm sorry. Yours.
I'm waiting for 4-color Yorion Murktide. Not Murktide. Well, maybe. No, Living End. I'm sure someone has tried a Murktide Yorion deck and has done well with it. Alright, we're going to pick it up and go to game 3. Justin's going to take game 2. And we're going to have James on the play. I'll be right back.
We can still work. And then it's gotta be.
And we are back with game 3. We got a little bit of a picture-in-picture here because, like I said, we had an internet trouble.
Cycle.
Yep.
It was a great time.
Go.
James on the play lead with the Spire Bluff Canal, going to cycle into a Striped River Winder. Justin is going to... Are we going to have a Ragavan play, maybe? I can't... I see a Lightning Bolt in his hand. I don't...
17.
Misty.
Darcy.
Alright, leading with Channeler instead of Ragavan. Perfectly reasonable.
Wow, he's playing a Mystery Bauble. That's insane.
Basically, oops all spells. Just put my whole deck in graveyard.
Yeah.
Who's the graveyard deck now?
Ooh.
That's true.
Folks, what decks are you playing in Modern right now?
Crack Bauble target.
What are you enjoying post Lurspan? Tell me what you're playing. 'Cause I need some ideas. I will say I have been really enjoying 4-color elementals with Kihira, the 60-card variant. As I do not have 4 red and 6 currently. I have 1. I'm picking up the other 3 very soon. So I'm gonna probably play the Yorion variant for a little bit. I'm just not excited about shuffling 80 cards.
Relic. Surveil trigger.
Alright, Justin's going to cast a Relic of Progenitus here. Maybe tap the mana for that Relic.
I like that one. You can resolve the search.
Oh, that was during the last turn. Okay.
Then cycle.
Alright, gonna River Winder here. Draw a card. So it looks like we have Shardless Agent, Force of Negation, Missile Dispute, Land, and Violent Outburst.
Force, negation, fetch, cast,
Okay, we're casting the Relic here. This is confusing. What board state are we on? I understand now. Interesting. I don't know if we had. No, we definitely had Yorion decks on. No, did we have a Yorion deck on Canberra? No, we did. Yeah. I think it might have been the first time in like 4 or 5 months that we haven't had one on camera, but we did. At least at a 1K, but.
See your graveyard real quick.
Yeah.
Just land, instant, effect.
Yes.
Cards in hand 4.
Alright, so that Relic is going to get Force of Negation. Which makes sense. A card can be a house against Living End. Turns out, exiling all the cards they want in the graveyard, pretty good.
You have how many in hand? 4.
Alright, so combo damage coming through with that Channeler. James thinking about his turn.
Go.
Keep. Strand.
Yep.
Combat.
Yep. 18.
Yep. And
Taxing for 3, or
pass
1.
Fetch.
I will fetch twice in response to it.
Getting them 1/1 beats in.
It's on your ass, though, probably.
Yes. Fetch and fetch shock. 1, 1, 2, 3. So 13.
So I'm at 7.
Plus is going to fetch out here.
And then you can resolve the fetch.
Okay.
James also fetching out a land. I was going to make a mention about Triomes in James's deck, but it's not, I was like, oh, I'm surprised he doesn't play Catch Trade Triome. But he just about all the time needs his lands to untap.
He's gonna tap it. Yeah.
He's or he wants untapped lands to do cycling stuff. He doesn't want to passively fetch a land. I mean, he could, right? But
Tap. Yep. Draw. Grief.
Alright, is Grief exiling the Architects of Will. Which honestly is really cool. It pitches to both Grief or Subtlety. Justice just going to counterspell that, getting a Surveil trigger. Looks like James is debating on disputing that. Alright, and he does. Does Justin have the dispute for the dispute? Or maybe the Flusterstorm?
One card in hand? One.
Okay.
Alright, I'm going to Flusterstorm the dispute. With a storm count of 1, 2, 3, 4.
The 2 cards left.
Yes.
And what did you do with the Surveil?
I bend it.
Murktide, okay.
Yeah.
So now it's 3.
Yeah.
Alright, you're up.
I wonder what he's protecting in the hand at that point.
Yep.
Oh, no. God.
If you got rid of 2 counterspells for that. I don't know. I'm kind of curious.
Island. Combat.
11.
Go ahead.
Grief. Hits Architects of Will.
Alright, there's the second Grief pitching Architects of Will. James is going to see Justin's hand if he can if he can, man.
Bolt you. Surveil trigger.
Alright, is gonna bolt James.
Bolt you. Surveil trigger.
5.
Just gonna do it again.
Yeah, you got it.
Okay. And then I think the only card left in Justin's hand was the Force Negation.
I left one on top. One on top.
Must be good then. Go. Effects and upkeep.
Yep.
There's the Violent Outburst. In the upkeep, that way Justin can't draw a counterspell. And there are living ends in the deck this time. I love the the picture-in-picture. Oh god. Anybody still watching? I appreciate you. You're beautiful.
Cast the living
Alright, as living end getting cast.
Shuffle these.
We're going to see 2 Griefs and 2 Striped River Winders come back.
You have no cards in hand. You're
Which is 10, 18 damage.
swapped.
How big are the River Winders? Are they 5/5s? That's what I think they are. River Winder.
Cards are revealed.
Yep, a 5/5. And they have hexproof.
Go. Did you draw a Murktide?
That's pretty good.
Or bolts?
Consider.
Yep.
Cannot Unholy Heat it. Justin gets to bring back a Murktide.
Iteration.
We're gonna cast an Expressive Iteration. See Ragavan, Counterspell, something. Iteration Ragavan, Counterspell. That's what that looks like. The Rag is just a trump blocker. Second Murktide would be lethal. I don't think he was not able to find it.
Cast.
Yep.
James's attacks are you swing out for the full 18, right? Grief is a 4/3, right? I'm not like misremembering how much power and toughness this card has. Am I? I am. It's a 3/2. No. I haven't cast Grief in forever. So it's 10, 16 damage. Yeah, so if you attack with the River of all 4, I can block straight. 5, 8, 11. Find second Murktide kill? It's an option.
Block is required. Yeah. So block the 5/5.
Alright, you get a 5. Go.
Alright, you need to take 5 here.
Come on, show me lightning bolt.
Or take 8, go to 5. Got the numbers back backwards in my brain.
Just gonna take over your graveyard again. Upstairs.
So the only thing that James is dead to here is if Justin draws the Bolt or the Murktide. Because second Murktide goes to the first one. Bolt just means the Murktide attack is lethal. Unless James has a counterspell.
Iteration.
Yep.
The
Which,
card
if that's the case, he's just golden.
Well, you didn't just slam a bolt on the table. That helps.
Exile. Bauble.
Target.
Target myself.
That card goes on the bottom.
Yeah, sorry.
Slow roll, slow roll, slow roll. He's had the bolt the whole time.
Alright, we're digging for cards here. It's not looking good for Justin, though. Alright, the folks, the camera cut out, but James ended up winning that match 2-1. Justin conceded there as he did not find the Murktide or the Lightning Bolt and could not deal with the board that James had. Thank you for watching, folks. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and all that fun stuff, and I hope you have a great rest of your day. Goodbye.